All right, so we are back. This time I have the pleasure of interviewing some of the medical professionals who have went through our program. I thought it would be really interesting for you guys to have a better understanding of what their experience is like. These are all very busy people. They all have really interesting backgrounds, really interesting professions. And not unlike all the other people I've interviewed, I thought it would be interesting to have a more of a panel of specifically medical professionals give you a little bit of insight into their experience in the program. So if you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourself, Kathleen, would you mind starting?
Sure, I don't mind. I'm Kathleen Holst. I am a board certified internal medicine physician. I'm also an Army veteran, so my experience has been from hospitalist to practicing military medicine, outpatient medicine, and now I do telemedicine, which I'm able to do from home. I am a mom to two kids, a 12-year-old and 9-year-old who do not want to be in school anymore. And I guess I'm also a part-time teacher. I forgot to say that. So this program came at a very busy time. There's never a down moment, but it fit well into my day-to-day routine. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Excellent. Miss Ann.
Hi, my name is Ann Klunder. I am an RN working at Summit Orthopedics, doing at an outpatient surgery center. I've been an RN for about 16 years. My previous life was a flight attendant, so I've done some other things beyond that. I have a couple children, 23 and 21, both in college. So active, busy life. I know Tracy, have known Tracy for a while, and jumped into her program back in August. And for me, it has definitely been life-changing in many ways. And I look forward for it to be something long-term that's always there for me.
Sandy.
Hello, my name is Sandy Goblish. I have been a registered nurse for 23 years, working mostly in inpatient in the hospital setting. My background is intensive care with multiple specialties. I've also spent the last 7-8 years in the ambulatory setting, pre-op, post-op recovery, same-day surgery, and then telehealth, and then most recently a clinical nurse specialist in general internal medicine. And I'm also a caregiver for my mother. So that takes up a chunk of my time as well. And I came across the program, and we'll talk more in this video about how it's affected me, but that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
And Jen.
Hi, everyone. I am Jen Roberts, and I am a clinical psychologist who specializes in neuropsychological testing. I have 3 children, and they are 18, 16, and 12. And this program has been very helpful for me. I'm excited to share my experience and kind of talk about how you can fit it in a busy day-to-day life, because I do have children and I work full-time, and I also am a caretaker for my mother as well. So I'm excited to be here and share my experience.
Awesome, thanks. Well, so Jen, let's just start with you. Before the program, what would you say was your biggest struggle? Like, what drew you to the program?
My biggest struggle was, again, like I said, just trying to fit healthy eating habits into a very busy day, a day where I barely even had time to go to the bathroom between clients. I'm booked out eight months, so my time is very back-to-back clients, and so getting time to eat, let alone go to the bathroom, was very difficult. So I did not make good decisions as far as what I was putting in my body, and so with that, I experienced a lot of fatigue. With that, I realized that I have issues with sugar, and so I felt like I was constantly in a mental fog. I'm writing 20-page reports, and I was just like, what did I just write? And, just really mentally and physically exhausted, and just at my end, looking for something, anything that could help me. And I did not want to do everything that I had already tried and heard of, and everything that was being advertised. And I needed something that was based upon research. I'm a data person, so I wanted to know the numbers and I wanted to know how this was going to work for me because I only had so much time and I didn't have time to fail and I needed a big change. So that's what brought me to the program.
Yeah. Anybody else? Can anybody relate to that? Being super busy? Yeah.
No.
You guys, you wouldn't believe what I had to go through to get these women onto this call. I so appreciate your time again. But Jen,
I would say with Jen, if I could echo, we focus so much time on our patients and being great role models in appearances for our patients, right? So it's really hard being an internal medicine physician and being fat and counseling your patients on obesity. And so I had to look at that, kind of just hold up the mirror to myself and say, how am I going to be a good role model for my patient, a good role model for my children, and be alive a long time? I started parenthood after medical school and residency. So for me, it was keeping me honest with, I'm giving advice. I talk to patients about this kind of eating, but I never internalized it, thought, oh, I'm not going to do that. But let me just have this little snack in between patients. Well, then your snacks aren't good for you. You get brain fog. You can't think well. And it's just kind of this cycle of frustration and, okay, well, I got through today. We'll start it again tomorrow. So for me, like you, Jen, it was making that commitment and then, wow, watching the brain fog lift and just finally doing what we needed to do to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. So many of my clients, one of the biggest objections I get is I don't have time. A lot of people think it's going to be the money. It's, I would say, just as prevalent with the people who don't have time. And what I have found after doing this program, however many times, I think we're on our 12th program now, is that people are so amazed by how much more time they have. Because when you make decisions ahead of time about protocols that you're going to commit to, eating protocols, and you stop over consuming, you end up having an abundance of time. And then coupled with the amount of energy that you get, the brain fog is lifted, your energy increases. It's like this whole new world starts to happen. So I always say, if this program is for the busy people, because it is one of those value adds that you just don't expect to get from a weight loss program, is to get more time. So thank you so much. Jen, let's talk a little bit about what happened early on. Like, what was your experience early on in this program?
So I jumped in full force, and I was like, okay, how long do I need to fast for? What am I? I can do 12 hours. Well, I think my daughter and I did we do a 12-hour. This was a year ago, because I started in May of last year. But we were like, okay, we're gonna do 12 hours, and then we're gonna do a 42-hour. And so we did it. We pulled through it together. It's nice when you have a partner, by the way. It made all the difference to push each other. And so with that, we both lost weight very quickly. So literally within probably the first 3 weeks, we were almost at our goal weight. And we were shocked. And we didn't have huge, weight amount to lose. But sometimes those last few pounds are the hardest pounds to lose. And we got pretty much to where we wanted to be real quick. And so much so that I didn't want to tell Tracy our results because I didn't want to be kicked out of the program because I was experiencing so many other benefits to it more than the weight loss that I didn't want her focus to not be on me anymore. So, I would kind of be like, oh, we're almost there. We're doing good. But anyway, so we lost weight really quick, got to our goals, but it was the energy for me that I had. And so to kind of piggyback on what Tracy was saying, as far as the program for the busy people, is that I didn't realize, if you would have asked me before what I was really looking for, and Tracy did, and I said, I want to get back to exercising, even if it's just be able to go on a walk. I just want to get back to having that time for myself. And I wouldn't have thought I had time to do that. And then here I was going on walks, and then I was going to the gym. I was going to the gym like an hour or two each day. And all of a sudden I had this time, and it wasn't that I never had the time before. It was just that I was so tired when I came home, and I was going to bed early because I was tired. And it was because of what I was putting in my body. It wasn't fueling me. It was just like what Kathleen said. It was just getting me to the next day. getting me, to the next hour, just helping. I kept thinking, I need to feel full. I ate so I could feel full, so I could just get on with my day, but I was not fueling my body. And when I started fueling my body, I started fueling my mind. And then all of a sudden I had this time and I was working out, and Tracy kept saying, we don't need to focus on the workout. That's so important, but you don't need to just focus on, feeling better right now. And I was like, no, I have great time to work out now. And so it made such a difference for me. So
awesome. Thank you. And how about you? What drew you to the program? What was the struggle that you were looking to overcome?
For me, weight was definitely part of it, but it really wasn't the focus. It was more, I just turned 55. So, at the time, 54, hypothyroid. I'm blessed that I'm 5'9". I've never been obese, but not really. More recently, going through menopause, not being at the weight that I wanted to be at, didn't feel good, and it was as much for me mental stuff, like the fog. Like, I am not the Ann Klunder that I know and love. I would come home from a 10-hour workday, being on my feet, being tired, but I would literally want to walk in the door and put my jammies on and hit the couch and call it good. So it was as much that I needed something to somehow to figure out what's going on in my body that can help me understand and help me improve my health, and kind of like with you guys, like being in the medical field or being an RN, it's kind of what I'd be like, geez, I should be able to figure this out. And I wasn't figuring it out. And so I like I said, I've known Tracy, I've been, watching her videos and watching some things. And I finally just, called her up and I'm like, hey, I need to talk. And it was that piece of my life that I wasn't like a good mom, like a good wife, like a good employee sometimes, so I that was for me what really, and added weight loss was just really the added bonus. It really was just feeling better and getting rid of the puff and the ish that has come along with getting, going through menopause and things like that. And that was a huge blessing, really, for me in my life when I was able to do this and come across it, because it was absolutely life-changing. And I too was very successful with the weight piece kind of early on. And that was a great thing. It made it a little bit more challenging, I think, trying to find the happy medium a little bit for me in maintaining and or figuring out, okay, now that I've been through this, what does it look like? Like, what does life look like? Because I didn't really see being in that mode the whole time, But being a nurse and being a busy nurse and an orthopedic, fasting works out great for me. I mean, I can go to work and I drink water and I can get through my day and I can feel good. And I had started intermittent fasting a little bit before on my own, before I had kind of started this, but that has, and so like then you talked about the time piece. It was like, it's great to not have to worry about what do I need to bring for lunch and what does all that look like in a busy day, but just kind of had to have the protocol piece involved so that when I got home, I knew what I was going to eat, so that I kind of had that plan in place.
Yeah. So what do you think was the shift between doing intermittent fasting before you joined the program and then joining the program and having the success? What would you contribute that to?
I'm sorry, you broke up there for a second, Tracy. I couldn't hear the whole question.
What would you contribute your success to? So you had, you tried intermittent fasting before the program. You joined the program. You had pretty quick loss results. What would you contribute your success to?
I think it's absolutely checking my blood sugars, making sure that my my body was fueling it with the right foods. Also, hormonally, kind of seeing where I was at. I also am a sugarholic. I can absolutely say that 100%. I love my treats. I love my sugar. And so that piece of it was, I had kind of started trying to wean off a little bit, so it wasn't a huge shock to my system, but that piece was what made a big difference. Kind of cutting out the sugars, cutting out the flours. I think those things are a definite huge piece to kind of what was different in what I was doing with intermittent fasting. I'd seen some success with intermittent fasting and more of maybe losing a little bit of what I call fluff or puff or, but, and then not drinking alcohol was another piece. I'm a absolute social person and my husband is very social. And so it was just a hard, finding that comfort, that level that fits for your life, that works for you, and you eliminating that. And I really didn't miss it much, to be honest.
Good. Sandy, let's talk about your experience. What drove you to make the decision to jump into this program, and what's been the biggest aha? What was the biggest surprise for you?
So for me, it's a combination of physical, mental, and emotional. I had a good friend that had sent me Tracy's link when she starts off her program on Facebook, and I thought, well, I have nothing left to lose now, because I had tried multiple programs, Medifast, Slimgenics, you name it, Weight Watchers. I've been on them all, and they seem like they got me to a certain point, and then they'd say, well, you're doing everything right. And I'm very type A, stringent. I do everything by the book. And they say to me, you know what, this is just how your body is. You just can't lose any more weight. You're just too hard on yourself. And then it just seemed like the weight came back on. But a couple of things that brought me to the program was I knew I needed to make a transition in my career, and I've been working with other life coaches for like 8 years and still can't get my finger on the pulse. Really stretched for time, working 2 jobs, caregiver for my mother, 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, tired all the time, just mentally and emotionally exhausted, crying half the time, which is totally out of my demeanor. And lastly, I had recently had a surgery a year ago, which added more weight. And I'm really physically active. I was a runner, ballroom dancer. There was no reason for me to be overweight. And I think we all know as healthcare professionals that we're going to get our energy from sugar, fat, or protein, amino acids. And like, I knew this information. I had tried some intermittent fasting on my own. I just couldn't quite, I wanted someone to kind of help and guide me along with it, but couldn't really find anyone to do that. And so when I met with Tracy, I went through like the week of her program, and I started off like cutting out 1 meal a day and just starting with the fasting piece. Fasting gave me more time because I'm not spending all the time cooking meals. It allowed me to put a protocol in place so that I knew what I was eating. And since I'm so organized, like that's like number one for me. Like, I'm not like, what am I going to eat? What am I going to do? Like, I do my meal prep on Sundays. I've got it planned out for the week so that I can slide in like my exercising, other appointments, my work, everything else that I need to do. The other big piece for me was the self-coaching that Tracy starts off with. And I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. She'd be like, just do it. Write the information down. And that allowed me to, like, I think losing the weight kind of increased your self-esteem a little bit, because I was just feeling so awful. Like I said, I was such an avid exerciser, and I couldn't even like do my Orange Theory exercises anymore. I'm like, what is going on? So after I dropped a bunch of weight, like I could actually like get around better, do my exercising, like you said, checking my blood sugar and all that, but really mentally with the self-coaching and just getting my head back on track about who I am and what I can do, and which led me to getting another position that I had spent years working with a life coach on that couldn't really quite get me where I needed to be. And in a matter of 4 months or 5 with Tracy. I started in September of 2020. I was able to, and I did fail at it. I didn't get it the first time around. And that's another thing. Tracy's like, I'm going to teach you how to fail. And that's just reality. It's life. And it's just that it's a different perspective of looking at it. Like I picked up the pieces like, hey, this is feedback. This is something I can use to learn from. And same thing with the eating. Like I'm at a plateau. I wasn't like the other couple of gals where I just lost all the weight, and I have things that I need to figure out. But this was my frustration with every program. They just told me this is how you are. But like I said to Tracy, I need to figure out what it is for me. Like what, like Ann had said, you know, I have menopause going on. I have stress going on. I have, you know, probably gut issues. So there's like multiple things. So I need to figure out what those pieces are for me and make that individualized protocol for me. So it's a lifestyle change for life, which is not a diet. It is just a freedom of living life that's healthy and that I can be productive for my patients and for my family and my mother and for my friends. And I've had the repeat comment, oh, the old Sandy is coming back. So it's not like people don't notice that something's off, you know, base there. So that was really the driving force for me overall.
Yeah. Yeah. It is so much more than just the weight, right? It's so much more than the physical appearance. It's metabolic. I mean, you have to want to understand your metabolic system and how you uniquely react to food that fuels you, how you uniquely react to the time that you put between your meals so that your hormones have an opportunity to balance out, you know. And then of course the mental and the emotional component. Everybody who knows, you know, my model that I teach, it starts with the thinking, right? It's always at the level of the mind that we have to start with. The actions that everybody wants me to hand them comes later. You got to start with the level of the mind. So people start feeling better when they start taking responsibility for their thinking, which then positions them beautifully to then adopt actions that will promote metabolic health and physical health. And it'll continue the betterment of your mental and emotional health as well. So I love that you guys all kind of, you know, touched on that. What would you say to the person who says, you know what, I've tried it all and I have failed miserably multiple times, and I just don't think that there is anything out there that can help me?
I've been there.
I would simply say, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. You know, so all these programs are, you know, they seem very different, but they're kind of selling you the same type of product, you know, that quick, easy, you know, whatever puts money in their pocket, but it really isn't focusing on you as a unique individual. So the fact that you're blessed enough to come to this program that is different and unique is going to be different than anything you've ever done. So you owe it to yourself to explore this option and give it 100%. You have nothing to lose. You only have everything to gain.
Yeah. Kathleen, did you have something?
No, it was kind of about the same thing Jen said. And if you look at where you are right now, is that how you want to be the rest of your life? I mean, is that acceptable for you? And for me, it wasn't. I mean, the least of my worries is that I have osteoarthritis in my knees, and my knees give me away before I show up, you know. They're loud and popping and I can't play with my kids. And I just made that choice that this isn't acceptable for me. I mean, I'm not going to live like this. And no matter what happens, is how I feel today. I didn't think it could get any worse. So I knew I could only go up from here. And I did. So that's what I would say. And I think we're all honest about that. And we've probably all tried different things. I've tried Weight Watchers. I've tried calorie counting and, you know, weird things. cabbage soup, but just saying. Yeah, that's what I would say. Just if this is how you want to feel the rest of your life, I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I had to make a change.
Yeah. Good.
I always love what you've said to me a few times, Tracy, is what would your future self say to you? And I find myself saying that to myself a lot because it helps me understand or think about my future self, which I think sometimes when you're in the moment of doing things, you're not thinking of your future self. And so I find myself saying things like that to myself often if I'm making a choice or, going down a path that maybe isn't as healthy, what would your future self say to you? And I just think there's so much more to this. Like we've all said a little bit than the weight loss. But it's it offers tools, many tools to help you through in different phases. And let's be honest, we've said we're all a work in progress, and there's going to be hills and valleys and challenges, but again, it gives you the tools and the resources to help you through those times, whether it's the people that you've been in the program with, that you make great cohorts to help you through times, or Tracy with coaching. There's just a plethora of things that it's not just food, shakes and bars and whatever else that other things have offered. There's just a much bigger, broader opportunity.
Yeah. So where do you guys see yourself from a future self perspective? How confident are you that you now have control? You know how to take responsibility for your thinking, for your feelings, and for your actions. Where would you say your confidence level is at? And if you look at that future self, where's she at? Well, we know where you're going to be at, Sandy.
Well, I was going to say two things. I just wanted to add to your last question. The two things that I think make your program different are, number one is the self-coaching. And any one of the other, anything you try out there, there is no one that really works with your mind. And because there are days you're not going to do what, quote, you should be doing, but it's just like, how do you get yourself back on track? Well, I just start over again tomorrow. And a lot of the other programs have you like, well, you got to come in every week, or you got to weigh, and then they slap you on the hand and that type of thing. You're holding yourself accountable, and you give yourself grace and permission that, hey, maybe this weekend I'm not going to be on protocol. It's okay, but I'm going to start over again on Monday. This is called life. And that's one of the things Tracy talks about, having that flexibility of going in and out of fat adaptation and all that. So life needs to be flexible. It's called life. So, and then the second thing that I think makes it different is, to your statement, is the human element. I think it's all of us as healthcare professionals can say that the same person is not going to respond to the same therapy in the same way. And that was my biggest frustration. And all the other programs is high protein, low fat, which is not ultimately where you want to go because it all ends up in sugar. But it's, again, eating the foods that fuel you, that give you that individualized protocol. Again, like what worked for me isn't going to work for Kathleen or Ann or Jen, and that's okay. It's actually then doing that digging deeper work of what is it for you, and then that makes that lifelong change. Where I see myself going forward, I've started already just with the thinking piece, because I was just so. My line is it's out of control. I can't do this. Tracy would say, it's your mind. You got to change this. So, so whenever I have my day going about and say it's out of control, then I go back to my self-coaching. It's like, what is it that this is a circumstance? Like this is what it is. What can I do differently? Yeah. And I was able, like I mentioned, I did interview for a job, but I didn't get it, and I was devastated. And then it's like I had to say, hey, wait a minute. They gave me some great feedback. Like, let's rework this self-coaching thing. What's the new thought? I can take this feedback and I can reapply. I can do X, Y, Z. So I did. And then I re-interviewed and I did get the job. And it's like, okay, that wasn't a negative. That was actually, what can I take with that information and do better with it? So now I try, whenever I'm having a bad day or it starts off like that, it's like, wait a minute, let's rework this again. And it's just kind of that work in progress. So I'm not like where Tracy's at with this, but the light bulb's gone off where that's where that part of that process is moving forward.
It's about understanding the control that you actually do have. Most of us feel like life is happening to us, right? And if we feel something because of something outside of us, and that's simply not true. We actually have a choice. We have a choice in what we want to think and what we want to feel, and ultimately what we do and the results that we create for ourselves. So I comprehensively teach you from a mental, emotional, a physical, and a metabolic. So it's holistic. It's self-made you because it's a study of self, right? It's discovering who you are and how your body reacts mentally, emotionally, metabolically. Very comprehensive. I would stand to say like nothing else out there. But I thank you guys. Is there anything else that anybody wants to say?
Go ahead.
We keep having thoughts at the same time, Kathleen. Go ahead. I can wait.
No, go.
We all have such great manners. I just wanted to say, touch upon access. I don't want to speak for Tracy and her time and what she has available because she's, we talk about being busy. She's very busy as well. But I was thinking about one of the great benefits of this program. And as I'm sure all these women on here, we've said we're very busy and we're, client focused. And, I'm booked out right now 8 months. You can't see me for 8 months because I'm so booked out with clients. And people place a call to me in my office and they'll put a message into me. You can't talk directly to me. You can't email me directly. You can't get a hold of me unless there's a message sent to me and then I get back to you when I have the time to do that. But with Tracy, she gives you access to her, which is unheard of. You have access to her. You have access to all the information that she provides. She catalogs it, archives it. She's very organized. So you have not only access to her, you have access to all the information you need. You have access to people who are going through this program that have maybe ahead of you, who have experienced what you've experienced, who you can ask questions to. She has an excellent staff working for her that you can get a hold of, who's happy to answer questions as well. So you just don't have that access that you would have to other medical professionals. So I think that's a great benefit that Tracy doesn't always touch upon because, she's probably humble in that, but I just want to add that to the benefit of this program.
Thank you.
So Jen mind reads as well as does neuropsych because that was my thread. So thanks. The only thing I would add is I found that when you're fat adapted and when you're into this program and you do have a glitch, you have a hiccup because we're human. And as medical professionals, we have to stop believing that we are superhuman, that we are robotic, that we are not meant to fail. You can restart and there's no shame. There's no guilt. It's just, okay, restart again. And I've found that you need forgiveness and you need just kindness with yourself and move on. We are all stressed. We are all challenged. But I find this group incredibly supportive and the access and everybody you kind of meet along the way. So thank you. Yeah, it's been quite a journey so far. So
it's been such a pleasure having all of you as clients, as students, as friends. It has just been a very fast and furious year of this business growing, but I love the fact that it attracts a lot of like-minded women, but it truly does attract all walks of life. It attracts the people who have 100 pounds to lose, and it attracts people that have no pounds to lose because they want to better understand themselves. And that is so rewarding, that I can help them on all those levels. So Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories. I so appreciate you, and I can't wait to continue to work with all of you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.